yesterday it was very beautiful, but I was like, it was also very strong to my heart, and I felt like it was opening, but also like I was seeing the light, but the shadow. And I don't know if I have a question, but I want to share something that is hard for me in the last year. I have repetition in my family of people that don't want to stay in this world, and they go. I have my grandfather and some of his brothers, and now some aunts and auntie. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Okay.
Uncle, but woman. And the last year, it was something really, really, really near me. And I think it was one of my favorite persons. And she was 88, and it was very hard. And it's like opening the heart, but also it's hard to deal with the things that you have inside of you, and all the questions, and also like I was always a happy person, dancing, singing, and I am, but
You're Brazilian.
I'm Portuguese.
Portuguese, okay. That's close enough.
And I'm an actress, I'm a clown, I'm a musician. So it was hard for me in the last year, like, who am I? And oh my God, I was a little bit silly, living all these years like, life is so beautiful, okay, I have this on the family, but it's okay. And last year was like, whoa, maybe life, it's not the way I painted, and without that colors that I love to paint and dance. It was a year past, so I'm a little bit more positive, but it's something also, sorry, I'm talking a lot.
That's okay, it's okay.
It's something that we don't talk on live, like, and in my family, it's a secret. We cannot talk about it, and it's too strong to talk.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because I am struggling with the voice, and I need to free it in front of all of these people, and also not to carry on with this all weight, you know, because for maybe some people, the word that I can't say it, what I would say, like the suicide, maybe it's not so heavy as me. And so I want to not neutralize it, but okay, that's part of life, and yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for feeling safe enough to say something here. That's why, that's one of the reasons why we do this, you know, because you can share that. Everybody in this room knows what you're talking about. Everybody. We all have the same stuff. Maybe not as immediate as what you're feeling this moment, but there's not one person in this room who hasn't lost someone through one way or another. And there's not one person in this room who's not going to go one day. If we don't deal with it, if we don't find a way to live in a good way right now, day after day in this world, we're not doing what we should be doing. And we're not dealing with reality. Being happy all the time, that's okay, as long as it lasts. But if it's real happiness, it doesn't come and go. If it's not deep enough. So, when I was going to kill myself, I was in the temple with Maharaji, and I was having a full-on hallucination, nervous breakdown, completely out of my fucking mind. And he sent me, it was just starting, And he looks at me and said, read the Gita. Give him a Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Go sit in that room and read the Gita. So I go into the room and I'm kind of like zombied out, right? And I open the book and I read, the soul is not born, it doesn't die, you can't cut it, it doesn't get wet. And then the book falls from my hand, and in the floor in front of me, a smoky, black, gray, slow motion whirlpool opens up in the floor. And I'm being pulled down into it. And I can't resist. I'm just going. There's no thought. I'm just going. And just as I'm about to go into this black hole, somebody comes to the door and says, Krishna Das, what? Maharaj is calling. Okay. So I get up and I start walking towards the front of the temple. And I see him, and I start to cry, and I fall in his lap, basically, and I'm just weeping. I just can't. I totally fell apart. And he's sitting there absolutely quiet. He didn't move, which is very unusual. He was always throwing food, laughing, joking. He's just, and I began to feel this really deep, quiet space open up underneath all this horror. And then he starts to repeat the words I had just been reading. He said, the soul is never born, never dies. Yeah. And then he looks at me and says, what are you going to do? Jump in the river? Ah! The river was 6 inches deep. But I figured if I got my head onto one of the rocks, maybe it would work, What are you going to do? Jump in the river? Ha ha! And he laughed. You can't kill yourself. Worldly people don't die. Only Jesus died the real death. What? He says, he never thought of himself. He said, this world is the flow of attachment. One replaces another. One attachment replaces another attachment. Someone dies and people cry and they don't eat, but after a couple of days they're laughing and drinking again. The flow of this world, samsara, is the flow of attachment. No attachment, no world. He was totally unafraid of whatever I was thinking I was going to do to myself. It didn't shake him. You know what I'm saying? He was like right there. What are you going to do? Jump in the river? Ha! You think that's going to do it? And I said, I'm always thinking of myself. All I do is think about myself all the time. Attachment. He just wasn't buying any of my bullshit. But he wasn't judging me. It was like he was just letting me just melt into that space with him. You're here. You'll always be here. Whatever happens in life, you will be here. Guaranteed. There is no place you can't be other than here. Don't be afraid. The fear is the killer. You can deal with anything that comes up because you're here and because you know you can. Yeah, it can get hard. So, big deal. It's hard. It won't always be hard. It wasn't hard yesterday. It won't be hard tomorrow. It's the fear. It's not so much the feelings, it's the fear of the feelings, How will I deal with it? I can't deal with this, I can't deal with this. Fortunately or unfortunately, there's no place we can go. unfortunately. We like to wish there was some other place to be, but there is no other place to be. We're here, we'll always be here. So let's get it together and live a good life and be good to ourselves and be good to those with us who are in our lives. And those who are more afraid than we are, we can comfort those people just by being ourselves. There's nothing we have to do. Obrigado.
De nada.
Hello. So earlier you mentioned you're not a therapist.
Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Right here.
Yeah, hi.
So I'm very sorry for a very personal question.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if you could kind of help me to feel good about the love that I have, because it happened to me that I fell in love with two people, and it's been quite a struggle for the last year and a half.
One wasn't enough?
Yeah, it's not so easy, I guess. But it's been a groundbreaking experience because I felt for the first time very whole. Because, I don't know, because it's a man and a woman, and it's, I don't know, just a very personal experience, and it's been a rough ride with those two people. And we're now at a turning point where it's, maybe we shouldn't try so hard to continue, even though there's a lot of love. But for whatever reason, it just won't quite work, and I keep feeling more and more guilty and bad about the love that I have, even though it is really just that. I'm a very happy, content person. I don't really deal with issues much. I mean, I do go to therapy and all that, but I'm just wondering if I should just go and be alone and not kind of bring this suffering anymore, and to keep fighting for the love because it's there. And I'm just in this like vicious cycle, and don't know what to do about it. And I don't know if you have an answer or any kind of soothing words for that. But as a believer of love, maybe you can solve this conundrum of love.
You say love so many times, and I don't feel love when you say it. So.
You don't feel love?
No, I don't. Okay, nobody can tell you what to do. Certainly not me. But what I can suggest is that you listen very carefully to your heart and do what you feel you need to do for yourself. Do what you feel is best for you. If it means being alone, I guarantee you it won't be forever. If it means recommitting to this relationship and trying to work it out, I guarantee you it won't be forever. But nobody can tell you what to do. There's no way to make life easier. We have to follow our own hearts. The whole spiritual path, as far as I'm concerned, is learning how to trust ourselves. And that's very, very, very hard to do.
I feel that I do that, but I'm a very stubborn person. I care a lot for people.
Yeah.
But,
Well, yeah. You live in your universe, and your universe works the way it works. So all I'm saying is that it's up to you to find out what you need to do to make your life work the way you want it to. Nobody can tell you what to do. At least I can't. And nobody could ever tell me what to do either. I wouldn't listen. So if somebody says sit down, I stand up. That's just the way I'm made. But I had to learn how to listen to my heart. When I started chanting with people, nobody was doing that way. But I knew I had to do that, so I started to do it. Nobody told me to do it. I had to listen to what I needed, what my heart needed. And that's what you have to do. Well, you don't have to. But it might be a good idea. So.
I'm trying to find an option that doesn't suck at this point, but yeah.
Everything sucks. It's called samsara. I should have a t-shirt, samsara sucks. Everything sucks out there. The only thing that doesn't suck is who we really are, what really lives within us, our own true hearts. We are love. You don't get it from somebody. You're using it as business. You're talking about business. Relationships are business. Somebody looks at you a certain way, you feel good. Somebody looks at you another way, you feel bad. That's business. Do your business. Enjoy. And if you're not enjoying, don't do it. But it doesn't matter. It's not this. You're never going to find what you want anywhere out there. Not with anybody or any relationship. Nothing will ever be enough in the outside world, period. There's enjoyment, there's pleasure, and then it's over. And then there's pain. And then it's over, and then it's pleasure. That's the way it works out there. It's only in here that there's truth, that there's real love, that there's peace. Peace. Peace of mind, peace of heart is really underrated. Everybody wants bliss. Fuck bliss. I want some peace. Really? Don't you want peace? Don't you want to be at rest, at ease? Then you have to find the place where it is. It's in you. When you stop grabbing at shit out there, and it's not that you can't participate in things. Of course you can. But if you need things to make you feel good, it's not going to happen. I mean, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a week, a year. God forbid it goes on for 5 years before you find out that somebody's screwing around with somebody else. Then how do you feel? You spent 5 years investing in a relationship that's built on lies. That's no fun. Pay attention now.
Thank you.
It's up to you. It's not up to anybody else. I was channeling some therapist in the astral world. Look, I just want to tell you, I'm not bragging, but I've been through this shit for 76 fucking years. And we're all going through the same stuff. Come on. Aren't we? We're all going through the same stuff. And we go over it, we go through it again and again and again, and we bang our heads against the same wall again and again in the same place. Someday, I pray it'll be enough. For me and for you too.
I had a question.
Okay.
First, thank you for the sharing till now.
Hold the mic a little closer, please.
Thank you for the sharing.
Thank you.
I was wondering, perhaps, like for Ram Dass, psychedelics played a role in his life journey.
Sure.
And I mean it in a positive way.
It is positive, yeah.
It is positive, yeah.
Sure.
And I was going to ask you, what role has it played in your life journey?
Well, I was 17. I played basketball every day, all day, when I wasn't playing guitar. And then I took peyote. You know what peyote is? Yeah, and now we're here. I don't see the guitar or the basketball. Yeah, no, peyote, my friend brought these buttons, these cactuses from the Southwest, and cooked them up in my mother's kitchen. And boiled them, and it smelled like shit. It was so horrible. And she walked in from work and said, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, it's my friend's experiment from college." Okay, and then she went up to her room and got drunk, she didn't care. So yeah, but the thing was, when I took the peyote, I knew what I was seeing was real. It was 100% more real than anything on Long Island, anything that I had ever experienced. I had no doubts. This is real. And so that really changed a lot for me. Of course, I couldn't find my way back there, though. That was the problem in those days. Acid wasn't even really available at that point. It was kind of just before that. Here's a funny story. So when I was in college, a guy I knew in high school was selling acid, pure Sandoz acid. It was still legal, even. I scored 10 hits from him, 10 tabs, 10 capsules. Beautiful little turquoise blue capsules. Anyway, okay. So, but when I took the first capsule, I was in college. I was playing basketball. I had a job. I think I was going to classes. I don't remember, but I might have been. But the 10th one, I was halfway to India. So I didn't see this guy for 50 years. At the 50th high school reunion, there he was, right? And I went up and I said, "Man, you know that acid I got from you? I took that first, I was almost in India, but And he looks at me and said, "Really? I took thousands of hits and I never got off of Long Island." So, the chemical is one thing, but there's also karmas involved, right? When Ram Dass went to India the first time, the reason he went, he brought a bunch of acid with him, and the reason he went, he wanted to find out what it is, because it had changed his life. But nobody could tell him what it is. So he gave it to everybody who wanted it, the taxi drivers, the kirtan, the rickshaw wallas, the sadhus, the chai wallas, everybody. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Then he's with Maharaji, and the first day he had this extraordinarily, total life-changing experience, which you probably read about. But the second day he comes, and Maharaji says to him, "You have some medicine?" And he thought he meant aspirin or something like that. So he takes out some aspirin. Nay, the yogi medicine. Yogi medicine? He must mean acid. So he had 4 hits with him of Owsley acid, the best acid there ever was. And he goes like this. Maharaji takes all 4 hits, throws them in his mouth, and they sat around all day, and nothing happened. Nothing. There was no change at all in Maharaji. This was really big for Ram Dass. However, so when he came back to America, he would tell people this story. He told me the story. And he told everybody the story. Some people said, "Oh, come on, he scammed you. He threw it over his shoulder or something. Nobody could take that much acid." He didn't believe that, but there was this much doubt in his mind. So, fast forward for like 3 years, okay? I've been in India for about 1.5 years. Ram Dass shows up, and we're traveling around together. And we met Maharaji in Vrindavan at his temple. We're sitting in front of Maharaji. And it's a very sweet space. And Maharaji looks around us and he said, "When you were in India last time, did you give me medicine?" Ram Dass said, "Yes." "Oh, did I take it?" "I think so." "Oh, got any more?" "Yes." give it to me. So I'm sitting right next to Ramdas, so, okay, this is not secondhand. So Ramdas goes like this, and here's what Maharaji did. He took one pill and he goes, four times.
How much was it altogether?
It was enough acid to put a horse on the moon. 4 full Owsley acid hits. Ramdas used to take a half or one at the most. So Maharaji took 4. So then we're sitting around with him. All of a sudden, he takes his blanket and he pulls it up over his head like this. And then he opens it up, he goes, like this. I had never seen a purple human being before. Ramdas literally turned purple. And later on he said, I thought I killed my guru. I thought he didn't take it the first time, and he knows I doubted him, so he wanted to prove it to me. Now I've killed my guru. You know, that's what he was thinking. He turned purple. So after a minute, Maharaji just stops. He said, he laughed. He said, oh, yogis have known about this for thousands of years. For a yogi who knows God, no poison can affect him. And then that was it. Nothing happened. But he used to say, the yogi medicine can bring you into the room with Christ, but you can't stay. The only way to stay is love. So, got any acid?
Not with me.
Okay. It's been a long time. I think if I took any acid now, like my arms and legs would fall off, you know, it's like, oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to know how and when did you develop the longing for a guru or Maharaji?
I was born with it. I didn't know what it was, what it is. But nothing in my life made sense to me. Certainly not my family. Nothing, you know. I was a happy kid, mostly, up until I got to be a teenager. Then, of course, being depressed was happy. But, you know, there was always something not there, missing in everything. And it was when I walked in that room where Ramdas was sitting that that thing showed up. What about you?
I'm still looking.
Keep looking.
I'm on the path. So.
Okay. There's a lot of other places you could be today. Longing is a bitch. On one hand, it absolutely ruins your life. On the other hand, it saves your life. Because nothing is enough. You have this longing to touch this place, to live in this, for it to be right. And nothing can make it right. It's just, no matter, you know, you fall in love and it feels right for a while, and then it changes. Something good happens to you and it feels right for a while, but then it changes. What never changes is the real thing. It's always just here. But we're too busy looking outside for things. That's why we're human. So it's a good place to start or continue.
Hello.
Where are you?
Over to your left. Your left.
Ah, hi.
Hi, Katie. You know, when you sing, I hear something in your voice that helps break down doorways I put in front of my heart and my experience of this world. And you often say that it wasn't until you started to sing with people that to save your own ass. You know, you started singing to save your own ass. So in service, in a way, you saved yourself through service. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about service on this so-called spiritual path or journey.
We used to ask Maharaji, how do we find God? We figured, you know, he liked us. Maybe he'd tell us. He said, serve people. What? People? What does serving people have to do with God? That's how dumb we are. I am. We say, well, how do you raise Kundalini? You know, Kundalini. You say, feed people. What? He never encouraged us to do anything for the sake of our own enlightenment, so to speak, enlightenment. He said, don't think about yourself. How do you don't think about yourself? All right? Love everyone, serve everyone, remember God. That's what he used to say. Don't think about yourself. Now, it's very hard not to think about ourselves. That's all we do. We wake up in the morning, we start writing, producing, and acting in the movie of me. Hello, where am I going? What am I doing? Do they like me? They don't like me. What should I wear? Is my hair okay? Am I too big, too fat, too small, too short? What am I doing? And then we write reviews, which we read and get more depressed. And the movie doesn't stop. We don't stop writing the movie of me. So it's only through some practice. When we're chanting, when we let go and come back, that's a huge thing. Every single time we come back, that's a big thing. Really big thing. Because otherwise, we don't come back. You get born, graduate from high school, you drink some beer, and you die. And you're not here for a minute. But when we chant or do a practice and we come back, we notice we're gone, we've just come back. We're here for a second before we're gone again. So it's through the practices that move us more deeply into our self, our true self, our soul, our hearts, that the constant thinking about ourselves, thinking about the world in terms of how it affects me, how am I, that just, you can't shoot it dead, you know, you just have to keep letting go. It's training, mind training, so to speak. And it happens gradually. And the weirdest thing starts to happen. You start caring about other people. Yeah. What a horrible thing. You know, and then somebody lays some shit on you, and instead of getting angry, you kind of look at the person and go, whoa, that's an unhappy motherfucker. And you don't take it personally. And that's not thinking about yourself. But it's you can't stop it. You have to move more deeply, and then they go by themselves, the thoughts. And then the service becomes natural. We don't want to be the Salvation Army. It's horrible. They wear these weird uniforms. It's terrible. You know. But wouldn't you help somebody if you had the chance? We would, you know. I mean, somebody falls in the street. You can help them get up. You don't have to marry them, you know, or take them home with you. But you can help them get up. That's enough. But there's a lot of things that we're afraid of. You know, Bernie Glassman, who's a great Zen master, he took his robes off and started wearing Hawaiian shirts and a beret and all the suspenders, weird stuff. Because he saw that no matter what kind of experience he and others had, they always came back. You always came back to this. And he began to understand that it was our fear that shut us down again and again and again. And so he would go, he created the Zen peacemakers, and they go everywhere there's some problems and, you know, cultural problems and violence, and try to get the sides. They go to the places that bring fear. Like he would take people into the streets on homeless retreats in New York. And no money, no credit card. You want to read the paper, you pull it out of the garbage, you know. And you sleep in the park, you eat in a soup kitchen. These are, you know, for businessmen and people, you know, to go out and do this, it's scary. But it's that fear that keeps us in that endless cycle about thinking about ourselves, protecting ourselves, feeding ourselves, all in very ultimately unsatisfying ways. That's the problem. If it was satisfying, no problem. But it isn't. And that's the problem, or rather the situation. Okay. It's getting to the time where we're not going to be able to sing anymore, but she's gone anyway. Okay. Whew. Free at last. But we'll see. Yeah, hi. The mic's not on. There's a switch, maybe.
Test.
Test.
Oh, better.
There we are.
So, good evening. It would be interesting to hear your thoughts about your whole life experience. Are we more guided, or is there a possibility that we are guide our own lives? And is there a difference between feeling what we should do and be guided, or thinking and trying to guide our own lives?
I'm not really sure I understand it completely, but
Should I ask it another way?
okay.
Sometimes, after years of any decision, you feel, oh, that's why I did it, without knowing in the moment of the decision why you're deciding it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, what is your experience in your life with your decision and your meeting this?
An endless flow of mistakes.
So
one after the other.
just do it.
Well, yes, one hand, just do it. On the other hand, you know, if you're imprisoned by habitual tendencies and bad habits, or just doing it isn't going to be necessarily very good. So there has to be some self-awareness, some quieting down and trying to figure out what you really want.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly you find out what you want by getting what you don't want. It just works that way. So you have to live. That's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you live 100%, the more you find out what you want and what you don't want. If you hold back and never... One time I was in the jungle in India with a yogi who was 163 years old at the time. He died a couple of years ago. He was 180 something. So I was sitting with him one day, and he looked at me and he made a face. And he said to me, "You have to develop willpower." In Hindi, willpower is Icha Shakti. Icha is desire, Shakti is the power to realize your desires, to get your desire. And then I made a face, like, "What do you need that for?" And then he made a face, because he saw my face. And so then he did something inside of me. He showed me what he saw in me, inside me. And then I made a face. And I was horrified what I saw. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going after, I was hardly living. I was floating. I wasn't going after things I wanted even. And there was a lot of reasons. Fear of being judged, fear of failure, what will people say, blah, 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 blah. You know, all this stuff that we have. And it was really powerful moment for me. And in some ways it led to, you know, singing with people eventually. Because I saw, there's just life. There's not spiritual life and worldly life. I got one life. If I don't live it, what am I doing? And I saw that the willpower, you know, if I don't go after the things I want in my daily life, the willpower in this, with spiritual life needs more willpower even. More energy, more insight, and more directed attention. And it's not easy. And if I wasn't doing it here, that wasn't going to happen anywhere, right? So it was a really big moment. Another time he looked at me, and he goes, this is back in the 80s, right? I was doing nothing. He looks at me and goes, you're going to be famous. So I looked up at him and I said, and rich. And he laughed. He laughed and he came up, eye to eye, nose to nose. He says, famous. Hey, I took my shot. You know, if he could make me famous, he could make me rich. So, okay. How's our minds? Empty at this point. No, there's a thought. Yeah, okay. Who's got the mic? Where's the mic?
Here's one.
Okay.
One mind.
Oh, 2 mics. Okay, good. Hi.
Yeah. Hi, thank you for coming. I'm happy to be here too.
Good.
So it's a semi-personal question.
Are you a semi-person?
Yes.
Okay. Then
Half
ask
of
the
me.
question. Yeah, okay.
So the last years sometimes have been rough, but opening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think your music played a big part for the opening. And so I found my way to Maharaji somehow through you, I guess. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking now. But and then I had a dream about a year ago where Maharaji was there and he said, "Stop following me. don't annoy me," like that, you know?
That sounds like him.
And I thought, okay, maybe I just have to just try to think about what does it mean and stuff like that. And then I heard you talking about that when guys like him actually appear in a dream, it's them. It's not just something.
Yeah, that's what it's not something I personally know, but I've heard many times that we cannot create the form of a real saint or yogi with our minds. That if we dream of them or even think of them, they are coming to see us. It's their presence. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
He used to say, "Go away, Jiao," is my mantra. So you're pretty close right there.
yeah, I went away for some, but then I said no.
Yeah. Well, we used to go too. We would go outside the temple, turn around and walk back, and he would let us. He never said, "Go away again." He just said, as long as you went away once, you could come back. He didn't say, "Go away for 10 years." He just said, "Go away." We came back.
Okay.
That took a little while to learn, but we got it.
Cool. Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I get it.
Yeah. He was so funny. One time, one of his devotees brought a friend of his who had another guru. And they come, they're sitting in front of Maharaji. Maharaji looks at the guy and said, "Why did you come here? At your guru's place, there's kirtan, bhajan, everything's going on. Here, it's just ao, cow, jiao. Come, eat, go." That's what it was like. Come, eat, go. People would come like from long distances. "You come? Now go." He didn't need us to be there. He didn't need you to be there to help you to do what had to be done. He didn't need to be told anything. You didn't have to. It was maybe our lack of faith that made us tell him things. That we were, "Baba, can you help me?" Yeah, Jiao, you know. Yeah. So, be in the presence of somebody like that is a great blessing. And but now it's over 50 years since he left the body. I'm closer to him now than I was when I was holding his foot. How does that work? So don't think that you need to look for something or someone outside of yourself. Because the real guru is not outside of you. And the real guru is always with you. But we have to learn how to pay attention. That's all. And that's all. And it ain't easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But it's easier than running through the jungle when it's 45 degrees out, believe me. So there was some other mind over there?
Here.
Where?
I have.
Oh, hi.
I would like to thank you for sharing these stories about Maharaji and your time in India. And when I listen to these stories of you, I experience or I feel, is it that they freed you to be in the presence of this love? Is it that this love freed you and give you the courage to go through your stuff? Is it like this?
Yeah, it is.
Because I struggle often to have courage to go through, to go my way.
Mm. Yeah.
And I would like to thank you because I'm very lucky to find you on YouTube.
That's where I am. I'm not really here. I'm on YouTube.
I don't know much about this whole thing, but it gives me a good feeling and I come at ease.
Thank you. That's very nice to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one time I was sitting with Maharaji in an apartment in Mumbai, and he was sitting on the bed, then he'd lie down, he'd sit up, he'd this way, that way, that. And I was just sitting on the floor doing my spiritual practice, which was basically just this. Just watching him move and do this and that. All of a sudden, after like a couple of hours, he sits up and he looks at me and he goes, "Courage is a really big thing." And the Indian guy there said, "Oh, Baba, God takes care of his devotees. Courage is a really big thing." You know, there were times in my life where the vaguest memory of that moment was just enough to get me through something, you know. I didn't have any courage, but I remembered that moment, and that was enough, you know. Boy. My first thought was like, what's gonna happen? You know? It happened. Sometimes you just have to, you know, sometimes you just have to do it. And sometimes it takes courage. Something's not working, you're stuck in something, you don't know what you'll do if this is over or what you're going to do next, but it ain't working. Sometimes you just have the courage to do it. So, courage is a really big thing. Hare Rama. Yeah, there's the mind I know over there.
Yeah, now I have it. Thanks for being here. It's very nice listening to you, and I'm very happy that we talked so long.
Tell that to that lady, will you please?
I will do it in German later.
Okay, thank you.
What is the purpose of life?
Purpose of life. What's life? Can you describe that to me? I'd like to know what that is first.
Okay, if I'm born, maybe I will die one day, and in between...
Most likely.
Yeah. I do something.
Yeah.
So that's what I would call life. Yeah.
I have no idea what the purpose of life is. I have no idea what my purpose is in life, but I don't know in a grander scheme of why we're here, what we're doing, or anything like that. I don't know how we got here. I don't know where we're going. You better ask somebody else.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, another hand went up out of the blue back there. Yeah. There's a switch, you got to turn it on.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
It's a gift to be here today, thank you.
अब हिंदुस्तानी लोग खूब पागल है.
आपके लिए पागल है.
ज़रूर.
My question is that the last few years I witnessed a lot of suffering within my family and a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
And it hurts me to witness that. Intellectually, I've accepted it and I understand that suffering is part of life. Like you said, everything sucks. But
it's not like I made that up.
I know.
Okay.
I know, I get that. But intellectually, I understand that everything sucks and, life is suffering is part of life. But my heart hurts so much witnessing loved beings suffering and also like unexpected deaths of loved beings, people passing away in pain unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I read all these things and intellectually I'm able to process it, but my heart feels so heavy feeling, witnessing loved ones suffering. What do I do with that?
Let it go. What are you going to do about it? Can you change it? No. The only thing you can change is your own attitude. You can see the suffering. You can wish it wasn't there, but it's there. And you can see that first of all, the pandemic times brings everybody was eaten alive by their own minds.
Right.
Mostly people had not. For me, I hate to say it, I was happy as a pig in shit. I was home. Every Thursday night I got online. I was still wearing my pajamas. I was so happy. But I know a lot of people suffered a lot and created a lot of suffering for everybody in their lives. And that's unfortunate. What are you going to do? If you let it eat you alive, what good is it? You have to be stronger. You have to be stronger. You can feel what you feel, but you can't let it destroy you. You can't. That's not fair to yourself. You can feel for those people. You can see what they're doing. You can love them. Loving someone also means letting them be who they are. Not who you would like them to be, not who you would wish them to be. But you can't change people like that. But if you love them, maybe somehow it creates a little space for them to let go of some stuff, but maybe not. What can you do? The best thing you can do for them is to be in the best place you can be. Nothing else is possible, really. Right? I mean, what can you do? It's hard. And a lot of Indian people, and people I know, the families in India, whoa, it's intense, In many good ways too. Like one time I was sitting with Siddhima in the back of the temple, and all the grandchildren of of my Indian parents, they all came in the family. The oldest grandchild was getting married, so all the cousins came, and they were sitting back there. They came to the temple to see Ma because they all knew each other from in the mountains. And I was sitting back there watching these kids. There was so much love among these kids. I was just sitting there. And she looked at me and she laughed and she said, "You see, Krishnadas? You see what you missed by being born in America." So, there's wonderful positive things about Indian families, and then of course, there's a lot of unhappiness too. It's part of the show. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You can pray for them, you can beg, you can wish everything, you can do practice for them, you can do pujas for them, you do everything, but you can't change them. You can only, all we can do, the best thing we can do for everyone is to make our hearts as wide as the world, and with room for everyone to be inside of that, as they are right now. That's the most loving thing we could ever do, is to let people live within our own hearts, as they are, not as we want them to be. It's a big thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think we've exhausted. Oh. Yeah, no problem. Hi.
Hey, I have a question. What do you know, or what do you think? Have Jesus Christ ever been in India? I have read about it.
I think he's still there, actually. He just took a temporary birth in that other country. I think he's Indian, basically. There was a great yogi named Shiva Bala Yogi, who I had met a few times. Shiva Bala Yogi. He was really a big-time, beautiful Baba. And he was in California. He came to America. And someone said to him something about Jesus dying for our sins. He said, "That's a bunch of shit. That stuff was written afterwards, later, He didn't die for your sins. He was a yogi. Nobody can touch a yogi unless he wants to go. He did what he did. It had nothing to do with dying for anybody's sins. It was really interesting. And then they said, will he reincarnate? Of course. He's already reincarnated 100 times. He said, but he's not going to come back like that. If he comes back like that, the same assholes who tried to kill him the first time will do it again. So. Hare Ram. How are we doing, okay? Can we call it a night? We okay? No? Anybody? Come on, somebody raise their hand. You'll get shot by these other people who want to go pee. Okay, we really don't have time to sing now because it's almost 11. Thank you for coming and being here and opening up and talking. And, you know, we're all sitting in the same stuff and we all have the same issues, the same stuff. Everywhere I go, I tell you, we do this in every country and every city. It's amazing. Everybody asks the same questions. We have the same stuff. We're in the humans. We're all in the same thing. And someday we'll be helping each other more than we are these days, I hope. Okay? Namaste.